Hello, everyone. We're going to start the webinar. And may I please welcome all of you on this bright Wednesday afternoon from snowy Belgium. It is just over 12 p.m. We're going to start this webinar, but first, let me introduce today's presenter and myself. My name is Andy Waters, and I take care of SAI's subscriptions and direct sales department, where we manage all interactions with SAI clients and end users. Together with Josiah Alden, we will be hosting this webinar. Josiah is SAI's application specialist for Flexi, located in our Brussels office, and he will be presenting the training session for today's topic. So the topic on which this webinar is focused is how ContourCut files can be prepared best in your Flexi software. Josiah will be showing the basics about ContourCut, as well as some more in-depth applications and tips and tricks. So the way a webinar works is that Josiah starts explaining the software, and at this point, while Josiah is presenting, there is no possibility to intervene with questions of the audience. It is possible, however, to write chat messages with your questions or ideas, and this is at the bottom of the screen. I will be monitoring these questions, and if necessary, I will ask Josiah to stop for a moment and reply or show something. Otherwise, we will address the questions after the webinar, which will take about 30 to 40 minutes, when we have a questions and answers session. One more thing, the webinar is being recorded, and every attendee will get a download link in their email, so you can look at it after the webinar. Okay, this is it from my side. I suggest Josiah now takes it over and starts the actual training. Go ahead, Josiah.
Okay, welcome everybody. As Andy mentioned, I'm Josiah, and I'll be teaching this webinar for you in the ContourCut workflow of Flexi. So the build we'll be using for this webinar is our Flexi subscription, and it's build Service Pack 5, Patch 4, build number 2898. So if the software differs at all from what you see on the screen, it's possibly a different edition, or maybe even a different version of the software, but the majority of this should be applicable for all levels and builds. So this webinar is going to be about ContourCut workflow in the Flexi software. And we're going to start from the very beginning, so the conditions for ContourCuts. And we're going to look at the methods of applying ContourCuts within Flexi. We're going to also cover third-party ContourCut parts, so how you can import these, how you can troubleshoot these if they're not bringing up cutting options. And then we're going to close out with some tips and tricks, some advice for contour cutting to improve your workflow, and we'll have some Q&A. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is look at your setup. So in order to have the ContourCut workflow, you need to have both a printer and also a cutter set up in your production manager. So we're going to add, just as an example, a HP Latex 360 cutter printer. And for the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to have it printing to the file port, so we don't output to the machine at all. So we'll cancel this. We're going to choose our location to file and just finish. The cutter we're going to add will be a Suma. It's a common and good cutter. We're going to add a Series T120, which is what we have in the office. And we're going to apply this one again, just so the USB port. We won't be outputting anything in this demonstration. Okay. So once you have your two devices set up, it's important to go to the default job properties, printer, and just check that you're outputting your cut job to your cutter, which is the send cut job option. So we're going to check this one here, and we're going to apply this one. That's important because it means that the correct ContourCut marks will come up for any ContourCut jobs that you process through the software. Okay, so we're going to begin now with methods of applying your contour cuts in Flexi. So we're going to start with just a simple example of some text and see what we can do with our work. So here we have our text. We're going to process with our contour cut. First method we're going to look at is applying a contour cut to an object. So to do this, we select the effects menu and we select our contour cut option here. When you select that, it will bring up in Design Central your contour options here. So the first we're going to look at is just the regular contour. So this will follow the shape of your object here. It's also possible to apply some different methods. So we have rectangular method, which again, just apply a rectangle around the outside of the object, or the ellipse method, which will apply this kind of circular oval shape around your object. So these are effective as reading lines, and the ellipse is effective, for example, if you're cutting out stickers, something of the like with vinyl. So there are a few nice things you can do with the Design Central here when applying the contour cut method. So the first thing we're going to look at is this with holes option here. So when you check this option, you'll see that the holes within the object, so the O's here in this case, will also have a contour line that will appear. And this is similarly to the outside line, directly proportional to the distance, the offset of your contour line. So if we want to change this to 0.5 centimeters, for example, it will change within the object as well as on the outside of the object. And if you want to, again, just remove that so it won't cut out your center of your objects, just uncheck, uncheck the with holes object. And the important thing is to make sure that you check apply. And that's how you simply apply a contour cut path. So we're also going to look at applying the square and the ellipses. So I'm just going to bring in simple transparent background PNG here. We have our nice handsome dinosaur. And again, we just come to effects, contour cut, and we see it's applied the contour cut around the outside of our shape. But we actually want to apply a rectangular contour cut to this object, which we have here. So there are a few extra things you can do as well as the offset to change how your contour cut applies. So we have the ability here to change the width and the height of our square, but you can also do this proportionally. So if you want to change the width without adjusting the height, this is possible. You just need to uncheck this option here. And again, if you check it, it will begin to adjust both the height and the width at the same time. With the rectangle, you can also adjust the way your corners look. So we're going to show first the example of the rounded corners. So if we check the rounded option here, we start applying a value over 0.8 centimeters of the corner, we get this rounded effect here. We also have an option to do this with an inverted effect, like so, or with a clipped effect, where it just directly cuts. And the ellipse will work similarly to the rectangle in that you can uncheck the proportionality if you want to make it wider than it is taller. And you can adjust these irrespective of that. So the next thing we're going to look at is applying multiple contour cuts within Flexi. And this is important as well because you can apply different effects to your cut job through this method. So if we take our print and cut job here, and we go to our rip and print window, this is the window we use to output to production manager with a printer and a cutter. Okay, that's fine. First thing we notice is that it has immediately applied the OPOS marks when it's detected our ContourCut data. This is because we've set up our cutter as a summa in the production manager, and this is the default cut mark for the summa. Now, the next thing we see is that it's detected our cut contour here. Now, the reason for that is because when we applied our cut contour through Effects ContourCut, it was automatically applied with this cut contour spot color. So if we were to change it to a different one, so let's select, say, cut contour 2, we apply this. We go again into our rip and print window. Now we have our original cut contour and also our cut contour 2. So we're just going to come back here to the editor. We're going to clear both of our cut contours, right click, clear contour cut. And we're going to start again for a demonstration. So we're going to apply first our regular contour cut around the outside of our object. So we want some nice dinosaur stickers here. So we're going to apply the original contour, and then we're going to come back to Effects ContourCut. You see it brings up this example around the outside for a second layer of ContourCut. But this time we're going to apply this as a rectangle. So we have a nice sticker we can cut out and give to somebody and they can feel this off themselves. So nice and simple that way. And we're going to select from our colors the Perf Cut contour. So it doesn't matter which you choose, but for an example, we're going to use this because we want our square to be a perforation cut. So the perforation cut will cut through the vinyl at the top and also through the backing as well. So when we select our object with 2 contour cuts applied, we come into the rip and print window. In our cut tab on the far right hand side, it will now detect both of our contour cuts. And you can edit the properties of each of these cuts for a different cut strategy, which we'll demonstrate now. So our cut contour 2 is going to be our kiss cut. So we're going to select the edit button just down here. And the method we're going to use is the tangential knife, but this is just going to be our kiss cut. We just want to cut through the vinyl. So the pressure doesn't need to be too much, but the speed, we can make this a bit higher. So we're going to go to 400 millimeters a second because all we want to do is just cut through the top of the vinyl. It doesn't too much pressure on it. Okay. But then our perforation cut contour, we can select edit. Again, it brings up this menu, but we can change the parameters to be completely different to the original kiss cut. So we're going to want to use lower speed and a higher pressure so that we perforate the vinyl and also the backing. There we go. So now it will do our first cut here, our kiss cut, with the 400 millimeters a second speed we set and the pressure of 60. And our perforation cut will be done with a speed of 400 millimeters a second and select a different tool. We're going to set the speed here to 200, pressure to 120. We're going to apply. So the reason why it reverted there was because I chose exactly the same tool as I did for my original. So we're going to select OK here. Now we go back to the tangential knife. Okay, it has the same speed and pressure as we set in the first place. Perforation cut will now keep a modified speed and pressure. So when we send this to our ContourCut, it will apply the speed we set for ContourCut 2 because that was the first line we set. For the perforation cut, which is the outside, it will apply the pressure we've set for that cut color. So that's how you can determine different cut strategies by using Flexi. Now, we're actually going to clear the cut contour the outside as well to demonstrate another feature that we offer in the cut contour window. So under the Effects ContourCut, we have this line here as well. Now, some cutters offer a method of pounce cut or flex cut. So in the case of the Sumo, we could actually just use a regular cut path and a flex cut tool. But some cutters don't have this option. So under this line option here, there's a drop-down menu with some different preset strategies here, or you can edit and make your own. And so what this will actually do is it will apply your contour cut. So you can apply a flex cut without having the tool to do so. So there are different presets here. You can make your own with the edit window. So what we want to do is we want to have, say, a dash of 1 centimeter and a gap of 0.2. You can edit this multiple times if you want different dashes or dots. So we're going to select the add button to add this as a new method and then to select OK. So this will effectively do a pounce cut or a flex cut without the need of having the tool on your machine to do so. And we're going to make sure again we've selected a different cut contour color. So we're going to select our perf cut. We're going to select OK. And then when we send this, be able to send it through to our device with our pounce cut or flex cut right that way. Okay. So the second way of adding contour cuts in Flexi we're going to look at is a method of making an object into a contour cut. So if we bring back our dinosaur here, I'm going to open him again. If we apply our rectangle to the dinosaur, we're going to go back to our original square rectangle. Even if we uncheck proportionally here, the width is done proportionally on both sides. So if we up this by 2 centimeters, it will add 1 centimeter onto each side, exactly, which is okay, but we may have a look at this sticker and decide that actually we'd rather it was centered around the dinosaur rather than having extra width on this side for the contour cut. We may want it on the left-hand side. That's not a problem. So within Flexi, you can take, for example, your rectangle. You can draw it as you wish over your dinosaur. So we're going to have less room on the right-hand side, more room on the left-hand side here. And we're just going to go to the Arrange menu, select Contour Cut, and select Make Contour Cut. And you'll see changes our square into a contour cut path. So when we select, we send this to Rip and Print, added our cut marks, we go again to our contour tab, we check, and it's applied a basic cut contour to the design. And again, you can assign your speed, assign your pressure, assign your tool, and send him to go. Now, this doesn't just work with shapes as well. In Flexi, it's also possible to draw manually a contour cut path. So let's say we're applying some text to a window. We may decide that actually we don't just want to cut contour cut or a square or an ellipse. We want something a bit more elaborate. It's possible in Flexi to draw yourself a line and then assign it to contour cut with the Make Contour Cut. So we're going to draw a nice squiggly effect here. Cut out the vinyl. See, it becomes an object here. We just select this object. Again, we go to Arrange, Contour Cut, Make Contour Cut. And there we are. We now have our contour cut and still our lettering. So we're going to select the both of these again, do the Rip and Print, and we see it's assigned the marks. And there we go. It's made that object into a contour cut path. Okay. There are a few extra features as well that will help you in Flexi while working with ContourCut workflow. So we're going to take a look now at a couple of those. So we're going to import a design that our customers sent. He wants us to make some stickers of these socks. So we bring this here into Flexi, and okay, go to Effects, we go to ContourCut. Okay. So it looks like this object is a bitmap, not a vector, so we're unable to apply contour around the outside of the socks. So we can simply take our bitmap with a white background here. We can go to our bitmap toolbar and select the Make Transparent option here. Okay, we select our white area. Come back to Design Central. Use this option here if you have a reason. And select our tolerance. Check here. Okay. All right, so we've got everything we need, and we're just going to select the tip here. And it's going to remove the white background. You see immediately, I can drag this over the edges of my workspace, and there's no bitmap in the background. So now if we go to Effects, to ContourCut, there we are. We're going to set this again back to 0.5 centimeters from the sample. Our ContourCut's now being applied around the outside. So you don't have to only work with vectors. You can always work with the transparent tool to very quickly and easily apply a ContourCut to an object with a solid background. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is using step and repeat to make multiple copies and then nesting those copies. So we're going to again import the design. We like this dinosaur. We're going to apply our ContourCut just around the outside. We're going to check OK. Now, it is possible to apply copies through the rip and print window. We come here. We can simply come down to the copy section in our first tab, our general tab, and we can apply copies like so. And we can even, if we want to, change the distance between the copies to try and save some media here. Okay. And if we increase this, say, to 35 copies, we have a nice couple rows here. But you don't just have to do it through the rip and print window. You can also make copies within Flexi, and this will allow you to nest them in a more efficient manner, which we'll demonstrate. So again, we're going to come to our Arrange tab here. But we're going to come almost all the way to the bottom and select Step and Repeat. Now, you see immediately this has picked up both our design and our ContourCut. And it's exactly the same name, exactly the same color. So any method we've applied originally to our ContourCut will be applied to every single object here as well. So let's say we want 6 rows of 4. That's quite nice. Okay. So we've made our copies in the editor. You want to select these and drag them, select them like so, and they're ready to go through the rip and print window. We only want 1 copy. Okay. Marks have been applied and they're ready to go. Now, we can actually nest these now using our true shape nesting and save a lot more material. So we're going to take a look at that here. So again, we come to the Arrange tab. We come to true shape nesting. And this is a more advanced nesting algorithm. So this will actually use the shape of the object and rotate the object by an angle to save you additional media. So you can set here angle of rotation. You can set distance between the objects. So we're going to make sure that we have 1 centimeter between each object. And you can also set media size here. So if you want only a specific width or a specific height to contain your nested objects, you can set that here as well. Again, there are some additional options which we won't demonstrate that are here. So the break text object will allow you, for example, if you use our original ContourCut, it will break up those letters in order to nest them in a more effective way than having the words as a whole. And we use holes as well. If there are, say, gaps within an object where there's white space and you check the use holes, or also cut an object out of that white space as well. So we're going to zoom out a bit so we can see this very effectively. So if we send these at the moment, they're going to take up a sizable amount of media, so around 60 centimeters there of media. So we're just going to click OK and see how they nest. True shape nesting. It's going to take a bit more time to calculate, but here we are. So we can see it's nested the objects within each other. They've rotated, they've shifted angle, they should be good to go. Now, you can actually do better than that. So I'm going to undo the step here. And I'm going to come back to range into true shape nest. I'm going to change the angle of rotation to 15 degrees, which should allow them to rotate a bit more. And the gap in between was a bit high, so we're going to set this to 0.5 centimeters. And we'll see if we can fit that within our allocated media space. Calculating down in the bottom here. Okay, so let's see. We now zoom out. You can see that changing the angle of rotation has allowed them to rotate also diagonally as well as just vertically, as it was with 180 degrees. But it's also saved us about 15 centimeters of media. And do that for every job, then it adds up over time. And if we take this now into the rip and print window, okay, we can rotate this so it's sideways, like so. It's also kept our cut contour data here as well. So it will be applied again to every single object in the same way it would with more copies. Okay. It's also possible to use masking in Flexi to apply contour around a specific part of an object. So that's a nice feature which we demonstrate as well. So I'm going to load in the Union Jack flag. I'm from the UK, so this is going to be a very patriotic demonstration. So we have our flag here, but we don't really want to print and cut the whole thing. We want to get, you know, a nice sticker out of this, but not the whole flag. So we're going to see what we have to work with. So we're going to import here our shield. So this is just a vector shield. We're going to use this as a demonstration to make a nice sticker out of our British flag. So we're going to just scale this down slightly, like this. And we're going to position it over the center of our flag by selecting both objects into arrangement, align, and vertically center. So that's now aligned directly within the center of the other image. So you have to now mask this so that we only have this section of the flag showing and we don't have the white here. So we're going to make sure that the flag is behind the shield, because if it's above the shield, it won't work. and we're just going to drag and select both objects here. We're going to right click, we're going to select mask here. Simple as that. We have our shield, and then as always we can just come here to Effects, Contour Cut. We can apply the contour cut around the shape of the object. And to select 0 here, and we're good to go. We send this to print. There we are. We can make our copies. Nice patriotic stickers. Okay, so that was the basics of how to apply contour cuts within Flexi. We're going to take a quick look at how to apply contour cuts from external applications. So I'm going to demonstrate what happens if we load a file into Production Manager that has a correct contour cut and also an incorrect contour cut. So we're just going to select job here to add our job to the printer. And we have these two pre-prepared jobs, which we're going to add here. So we select add, let them load in for a second. Okay, so we're going to demonstrate first with the correct job. So if we open this job up, by double clicking on the job properties, you can see here that a cut tab has appeared and it's found a contour cut color. And around the object, we can see where the contour cut is. So this job is fine. It's already applied our cut marks here, our opus marks. So if we send this, because we checked this earlier in our workflow tab, it's going to automatically send the cut job to our cutter. So in this case, we can just make our copies. And if we send it to the printer, it will also generate our cut job as well. Now, what can we do if we receive a file like this? We load it into Production Manager. Okay, we use a set it has a cut line. Okay, I can see where the cut line is supposed to be, but my cut tab hasn't come up. So we're going to take this file and we're going to load it into Flexi and take a look at why that's the case. So our incorrect cut line. Here we are. So the first thing we can check is whether or not this is a cut contour line. So as demonstrated earlier, when we apply our contour cut, it uses one of these spot colors that will show on your default swatch table at the bottom, which is named cut contour 1, cut contour 2, etc. And cut contours in Flexi have specific requirements. So if you're importing a cut contour from a third-party program, it must be two things. Firstly, it must be spot color. If we have a regular color and it's named cut contour, it won't work at all. So it has to be a spot color, otherwise it will be detected as printable data and it will be printed rather than cut. Secondly, it must be named cut contour or a variation of this. So as you may have seen in the Production Manager, the job that was correctly labeled actually had spot color named cut contour 1. This is also fine as well. So we must make sure it's named cut contour with a capital C for both words, no space in between, and then you can put, if you want, numbers after it to allow you to select multiple strategies. So what do we do now we've worked out this file doesn't have a spot color? We're going to use our Select Within tool so we can select the line. So if you hold down your left click on the Select tool, you'll see this white clicker here. We're going to select this one. We're going to click on the path here. Okay, we're now going to open our Fill/Stroke editor, which is right next to the Design Central on the top bar. Here we are. We can see there's a grey color here, but it's not a spot color. So spot colors are represented with this small black spot in the corner. And if we go back and we select our cut path, originally it only had a grey colour, so it will not be treated as a cut. The easy way to solve this is to select the path as it is, go to Arrange, Cut Contour, Make Cut Contour. And then good to go. We take this file now, take it to Rip and Print, see our OPOS marks come up here. We'll now see our cut contour line as a spot color. We have made it a cut contour. We can apply our copies and we can send this and it will be fine. Now, if you want to check this, but for whatever reason, you can't select the cut contour line. If you go to the View menu, you go to the Color menu, and you select Merge from Document, it will take any colors from a vector file, and we're going to add them to our default toolbar, and they will appear down here. So here, all of these colors that have popped up in the middle of our toolbar are from the original file. And so it's easy to see here, none of these are spot colors, and none of them are named cut contour, which is why the original file wasn't able to process using the standard. Okay. So one further thing we're going to check quickly before we get to our Q&A is how to prepare a file in Flexi to print with an external rip, but to apply the cut contour through Flexi. So this will work with any file, but then we're going to load up a demonstration, but we'll use a different dinosaur this time. Take off our setups. There we are. So we're going to apply our ContourCut again through the Effect ContourCut menu. We're going to set it to 0.5 centimeters. Make sure we apply it. Here we are. So this is the file that we want to send to an external rip. And again, if you're going to generate the cut contour in Flexi as well, and you're going to send it to an external rip, you will also have to set the copies in Flexi. So we're going to go to Arrange, Step and Repeat. And we're going to set some copies here. We're going to select the Apply button. So this is the file that we want to send to our rip. The next thing you have to do is you have to apply cut marks, because we're going to export this file to be printed in another program. You have to have the registration marks there, otherwise Flexi won't know where to cut. So we're going to go again to the Effects menu. We're going to select Cut Contour Mark, which is directly below the contour cut. Now, you'll see if we deselect our image, this button won't come up because you can only apply this when you have a contour cut selected. So we're going to select our objects again, come to Effects, Contour Cut Mark, and we're going to click this one. And we see it's applied contour cut marks around the edge. Now, because it's not directly connected to the production manager, we're going to have to select our cut marks. So you can see all sorts of marks here for Roland. We want OPOS. So we're going to select OPOS. Here you can set your mark distance, your mark number as you wish. You have your options as well if you wanted to use X, Y instead. And we're going to select OK. And then you can either export this as an EPS file. The export button is just at the top here, next to the import button. So we're going to export this as a encapsulated PostScript. I'm going to save that one. And then you can load that file into your third-party rip. It's going to take some time to export here. Okay, while he's working on that one, I'll point out a couple of things. We're also going to quickly show how to export to a RIP with the send to buttons here as well. So this is our send to button for VersaWorks, to Rasterlink, and to Onyx. And this is so you can send your print job side, the print and cut job, to an external application in the same way we just exported it as an EPS, so you can load it in. You can also use one of these buttons to send the file directly to the external. Okay, I can hear my computer CPU fan going. I think there's too much stress on my PC actually at the moment with the streaming, so I'm just going to close this and reopen it so I can demonstrate how to send your content. So let's see. Let's close this. Meeting is using up the CPU power. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to load back in our Triceratops. Very quickly, go to Effects, ContourCut, set our ContourCut offset here, apply, going to go to Arrange, Step and Repeat. We're going to repeat 6x4. Again, we'll come to Effects, ContourCut Mark. We'll apply our OPOS marks, select OK. Now, here, we can either export it as an EPS or we can send it to an external application. So we're going to select the Center VersaWorks dual. To always send it as an EPS, we're going to include the ContourCut paths, and we're going to send this off. I don't actually have VersaWorks installed on the PC, but that's fine. Then we're going to come back to our application, going to select our objects here. We're going to actually select this application to the right-hand side of the rip and print called Cut Contour. So when we select this, we'll connect through to our production manager here, and it will use the contour marks we set within our editor as the guide marks for our cut job. So we can actually send the cut job from Flexi and the print job from another application. That's not a problem at all. And as long as the print job comes out fine, the marks are in the correct position, then the cut job will be able to be processed just through Cut Contour button. So it is entirely possible to set your ContourCut marks in Flexi to output the EPS to print with a third-party rip and then to process the cut job. That's how you do that. Okay, so I think we'll now check through some of the questions which Andy's taken a look at and see if we can address some of those.
While you were busy, so there were a few that we're going to take offline. So, those offline about margins, about schema and everything. Okay.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in the chat now, and Andy will pick one or two out that we'll be able to address. The cut marks in Production Manager, to address your question, will depend on your cutter. So at the start, we added a Suma T-Series S2, but I'll show you for the example. I'll delete this cutter and we'll add a Graphtec or something, and we'll see how the marks differ. So we're going to, again, add setup, select cutters, select Graphtec here, and we're going to just choose, we have an FC 8675 in the office, so I'll use this as our example. Connected by USB. Finish here. And then again, we select our printer, go to Setup, Default Job Properties, into our Workflow tab, and make sure that it's sending the cut job to the 8600. Okay? And if we come back into Flexi, we make our design here, Effects, ContourCut, Apply. Then we come into the Rip and Print window. You see now it's changed to Graphtec marks here, the 4-point type. And again, if you prefer to use, for example, the type 1 marks, you have the option here to set your own marks as well. So the Graphtec 4-point type 2 is the default for this device. But if you want to use any other compatible cut marks, it's not a problem.
There is a question. There is a question from Ernest. How would I put two separate cut lines directly on top of each other?
Okay, so we have a question about putting multiple cut lines exactly on top of each other. So we'll just go through that one quickly here. So I think a reason for this could be, for example, if you're using thick laminate and you want to go over the same cut path twice, there's a method of doing that. So we apply our ContourCut here. We check it's a contour or a rectangle. We check the distance here. Okay, and we're going to choose, again, just one as a cut contour. We will apply this. We'll come back again, select our object, Effects, ContourCut. All you have to do here is change the offset from the last ContourCut to 0, and it will apply a ContourCut exactly on top. We will come here, select ContourCut 1 and apply. And then when we select our object in our ContourCut, I'm going to keep the Rip and Print settings. We come to our Contour tab, and you see we have here Contour and Contour 1. So, for example, if you want to use just cut past to go through the laminate itself, we apply this, okay? And then you may want to go back over it using a different method. So say a cut slow with a higher pressure to go through the actual vinyl itself. And again, if your cutter has an option, you can apply it as a pounce cut or as a flex cut, and that will work fine. If you just want to apply the same strategy twice to one cut contour path, this isn't necessary. So we can clear one of our contour cuts. So we have only the original contour cut that we can select our object, come to Rip and Print, and in our Contour tab, we can just, where it says passes here, we can select the passes to 2. And this will apply exactly the same speed, pressure, acceleration, condition, but it will just go over your contour line twice. So if you wanted to do a double pass, this is how you would do that. Because if you apply too much pressure, sometimes it can tear your vinyl or cause issues. But Doing it as 2 passes is entirely possible, just like this. If that answers it for you.
Okay, Ernest says thank you. There is a question from Ariel. Okay. Hello, Ariel, by the way. Can you show the Suma barcode workflow?
You show the Suma barcode workflow. Yes, we can. So for this to happen, you need to have a Suma cutter that has the ability to read barcodes. So we're going to delete this graph tech. And we're going to apply Suma. Okay. There are many Suma devices that will support the barcode workflow. But for this example, we're going to choose, again, the one we have in the office, the T-Series S2 120. I'm going to select Next, connected by USB, and I'm going to select. Now, when you click on the Suma setup, the first thing you'll notice at the bottom is it says here, barcode server on, no setups connected to the port. This is because I'm not connected to the cutter at the moment. But when you add the setup in this build, your barcode server is applied by default. So if you want to check it's applied, you can come to this small tick next to your setup, click on it, and it has here, stop barcode server. If it says stop barcode server, it means that the barcode server is already on for this device, and you can just check again, the barcode server is on. So the first thing is to make sure that you have the barcode server on. Now, we're going to come to our default job properties again for the HP, for our printer. We're going to come to the workflow tab, we're going to make sure it's sending our cut job to the C series. But then we're actually going to come into the labels and marks tab here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th tab, where it says print marks, OPOS marks. This has been defined as the default mark because we're using the Suma cutter, but we're going to select options here, select OPOS barcode, and we're going to want a barcode at the bottom and the top, and we're going to select OK and OK. Now, when we add our print and cut job here, we double click on it, we see that it's automatically added our OPOS barcode here. Now this will work the same for HP cutters, for any of you that use the HP Basic 6454 or the HP Print and Cut edition. The HP Print and Cut edition will apply this by default because it's the default mark for the HP cutter. But for the Suma, you'll have to come again into the labels and marks for the OPOS marks and enable the barcode as your default. Okay. And then, okay. In Flexi, we want to check that it's working the same here. We need to make an object with a ContourCut and apply it. And once it's set there, we can come to Rip and Print. Now we get a pop-up here saying the cut and mark options are different between Rip and Print Production Manager. So we're going to use the Production Manager settings because we've already set that up to work with the barcode. And here we are. It's taken our default marks from Production Manager, and again, you just make your copies. Okay, and define our cut parameters as we wish, and we can send the job as separate jobs. Send this here, and then we see in the Production Manager to process our job. Holding in our Suma queue, it's our file. You see at the bottom it's been assigned barcode IDs here. Now if we're connected to our cutter and we read the barcode once the job is loaded in, it will pull this job from the queue and it will
Okay, there is another question from Maurice. Can you show us again how you do the multiple prints when you send it to print? You send multiple prints when you send it to print.
Multiple cuts or prints?
With multiple copies? Photos? Or do you mean first nesting and then sending that page to multiple prints? Multiple copies? You can already do the secret. Then send.
Yeah, you can do that. Not a problem. So again, we're just going to go through making the copies in Flexi and then sending them to rip and print. Again, we'll demonstrate also the true shape nesting, just because it's an effective way to save media. So we're going to add a contour cut mark to our design here. And to apply this. And then we're going to come to the Arrange tab. We're going to select Step and Repeat at the bottom here. To show us how many rows and how many columns we would like. I'm going to select Apply. It shows here also the number of copies you have. Then we're going to select all of these objects here with our contour cut. We're going to come again to the Arrange tab. We're going to select True Shape Nesting, is the advanced nesting algorithm. We're going to again check our parameters here. So we want our media width 50 centimeters, that's okay. The height, if you wish. Rotation angle, we're going to leave this on 15 degrees as it will give us the most room for adjustment. You can set multiple copies, for example, if you're printing on sheets, just by checking this button here. And then we're going to check the OK button and it will apply our method to our design. This may take a bit longer to calculate as it's doing 4 sheets. Okay, so let's zoom out and see. Here we are. So we have here sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and the rest of it on sheet 4. So if it can save you material by nesting some of the copies onto a different sheet, it will do this automatically for you. And then you can just select them sheet by sheet and send them through to rip and print. And again, in rip and print, say your material is wider than you set your workspace, you can just apply multiple copies of the same nested job, and that will work. Okay. One other thing I'll quickly mention about the true shape nesting is that if we set our workspace smaller than the size of the images here, so we set these say to 30 centimeters by 49 and we apply. Wait for this to go through. Zoom out and see. Here we are. It's automatically separated our objects into sheets of only 30 centimeters width, because that was how we defined it. So if your objects would exceed the width of the sheet, it will automatically nest them onto another sheet of the same size. And then these are again ready just to be selected and sent through to rip and print. Okay, thank you very much for attending the webinar. We've reached our 1 hour. If you have any further questions about the software at all, I'll type in our website, and we have an online chat for the website here, so you can talk to one of our representatives and they'll be able to either assist you with your questions or put you through to our support team as is required. The website is www.thinksai.com, which I'll put it in the chat for you. And I'll show you quickly in our browser. When you launch the website, thinksai.com, in the bottom left, we have here our quick question, chat with a live agent. You'll speak directly to a person, no machines, nothing. And you can ask your question and they'll direct you to the correct department. Okay, thank you very much for attending. We look forward to seeing you all on our next webinar. And have a good afternoon, everybody.